She sent it wide. This was far from your average day on the tennis court. The aftermath of the showdown between Coco Gauff and Aryna Sabalenka at the WTA finals left the internet completely stunned and outraged. Lenses zoomed in as Sabalenka spun around after a massive point, cracking up and gesturing in a way that screamed pure disrespect. You could hear the audience catch their breaths, but Coco, she was a statue.com, dialed in and frighteningly quiet. No outbursts, no arguments. She simply let the silence do the heavy lifting, while Sabalenka had her fun. But once the handshake was over, Coco didn't hold back. Her words sent tremors through the sport, because this went deeper than the scoreboard. We are talking about basic decency, honor, and stepping over lines you just do not cross at the elite level. As the clips went viral, the timeline flooded with the exact same question. Did Sabalenka officially lose the plot? Getting that win after so many years certainly eases the mental burden. And truthfully, there is a reason you are facing off against the top 8 players on the planet. With the round-robin setup, this wasn't just another fixture. It was the heavyweight bout we were all desperate to see. The tournament was already swimming in controversy, but the second those two hit the baseline, it got incredibly personal. You could cut the tension with a knife. Everyone knew the backstory. Coco's epic takedown of Sabalenka at the US Open didn't just bruise egos, it shattered Sabalenka's cool facade. Since that loss, Sabalenka has been itching for payback, and the hunger was written all over her face. Coco, though, she was on a different frequency. This wasn't about getting even. It was about protecting her name, her peace, and the status she built with blood and sweat. The stage is set, and the lights are dimmed, yet the actors remain silent. Please place your script here and witness the transformation begin. From the opening toss, the vibe was heavy. Every stroke and glare was loaded with subtext. Spectators weren't just tracking a ball. They were watching a collision of egos, swagger, and sheer willpower. While Coco kept her eyes on the prize, Sabalenka seemed distracted by a secondary mission, a psychological war just spinning up. Early in the first set, it was obvious Sabalenka wanted more than just the victory. She wanted to rattle her opponent. Every winner came with extra volume, extra theatrics, aimed right at the other side of the net. She claws back into the set, the screaming, the fist-pumping, the twisted grin. That wasn't self-hype. Those were signals, nasty ones. The booth saw it. The stands saw it. Even Coco's team started glancing around as the celebrations morphed from competitive to taunting. At one frantic moment, Sabalenka roared after Coco made a simple mistake, then pivoted to her box, cackling. Like winning wasn't sweet enough without the side of public shaming. The pressure cooker was whistling. Half the stadium loved the drama, but the rest squirmed. This didn't look like two pros testing limits. It looked like bullying disguised as competition. With the chair umpire staying silent, Sabalenka treated the lack of a warning as a green light. The noise level spiked, the body language got ruder, and the vibes got toxic. Right now, the focus is the athlete. The player is never wrong. That is the golden rule, and the only thing that matters in the end. If she expected Coco to crumble, she miscalculated. The next few minutes proved Coco isn't just a participant. She is a master of Zen. What puts Gauff in a league of her own isn't just her speed or power. It is the steel trap mind that slams shut when the heat gets turned up. As the laughter and wild gestures bounced around the arena, Coco refused to take the bait. No eye rolls. No snappy comebacks. She just wiped the slate clean, stared down the court, and got ready to work. That icy stillness wasn't fear. It was weaponized calm. You know, in that opener, I was a bit lost out there. Some of those rallies were just mind-blowing. But then the second set hit, and she flipped the script. Most people would crack with an opponent in their face, but Coco used it as fuel. She channeled a quiet rage. Her movement got sharper, her delivery got cleaner, and her gaze narrowed with sniper-like precision. Every time Sabalenka tried to play mind games, Coco responded with undeniable skill. Fire meeting ice, one burning out of control, the other cold as steel. But the real fireworks exploded long after the umpire called time on the final set. Pressed about Sabalenka's theatrics, Coco didn't blink. She delivered a cold reality check. I don't show up for psychological warfare. I show up to dominate the court. She didn't shout or sneer. She just radiated absolute certainty. That single sentence landed heavier than a 100-mile-per-hour ace. The internet caught fire instantly, with the clip circling the globe as the ultimate example of a masterclass in maturity. Pundits applauded her elegance, while tennis legends nodded in agreement, and digital feeds drowned in a singular, unifying sentiment. Gauff has no use for mockery when her racket does the talking. Yet, away from the spotlight, the atmosphere was thickening. Lenses zoomed in on icy stares and stiff postures, whispering a clear warning. This war had barely begun. The events that transpired in the tunnels would transform a standard competition into the season's most explosive narrative. The friction didn't evaporate with the obligatory net exchange. It simply migrated into the shadows of the arena. Snippets of footage showed a corridor run-in where Sabalenka's trademark sneer dissolved into a rigid, forced smile. Conversely, Gauff glided past like royalty, eyes fixed forward. Zero verbal engagement, zero acknowledgement, just a deafening silence. Shortly after, a leaked video revealed Sabalenka engaging in raucous celebrations, howling with laughter as if she had personally vanquished every doubter. Disturbingly, certain angles appeared to show her parodying Gauff's on-court mannerisms, which internet detectives immediately tagged as blatant disrespect. Before long, the snippets went nuclear, igniting a digital firestorm. Tags like Team Coco and Respect the Game climbed the charts, with legions of users condemning Sabalenka's apparent deficit of class. Even seasoned analysts chimed in, observing that while Sabalenka's intensity is her signature, this specific instance felt excessive. Even her loyalists conceded that the theatrics had eclipsed the actual win. In stark contrast, Gauff's poise under pressure captured the hearts of millions. Her post-game commentary circulated endlessly, accumulating views as the public lauded her self-control and wisdom. Just as the embers were dying down, Sabalenka's entourage poured gasoline on the situation. Her staff issued public defenses, arguing Gauff cracked under stress while portraying Sabalenka's actions as raw passion, a strategy that catastrophically backfired. For the audience, the issue had transcended simple emotional outbursts. It became a referendum on basic decency. Gauff's refusal to wrestle in the mud only amplified her moral stature. Yet, the opposing camp wasn't finished. Their subsequent comments transformed a squall into a Category 5 hurricane. As the wave of criticism crested, the Sabalenka faction scrambled to execute damage control. Interrogated about the mimicry and the screaming viral loops, Sabalenka refused to offer an olive branch. She dug her heels in. Dismissing the outrage, she branded it as the byproduct of her warrior spirit, insisting the public was analyzing non-existent subtext. However, that rationalization failed to resonate with the viewing public. Supporters pointed out the vast chasm between competitive ferocity and calculated disrespect. Platforms became battlegrounds, split between those championing emotional authenticity and those condemning her reaction as haughty and oblivious. A single comment pinned to the top of a viral thread captured the mood perfectly. Passion and pettiness are neighbors, but she just kicked down the fence, and her team is handing her the sledgehammer. In a tone-deaf media briefing, the coach argued his player was misinterpreted, implying Gauff was too sensitive to standard intensity. That remark served as the spark for a secondary explosion of indignation. Retired pros entered the chat, emphasizing that character equals talent. As one analyst succinctly put it, you can be a predator without being a bully. Through the chaos, Gauff remained a ghost. No reactionary tweets, no subtle jabs in the press. Her stillness was thunderous. This tactical silence made the other camp's justifications ring hollow, exposing the desperation behind the excuses. The public backlash wasn't just about a game. It was a rejection of what the behavior symbolized. Vanity trumps grace, and arrogance overrides honor. As the drama spilled out of the sports pages and into the mainstream, the narrative evolved. Society began debating the true nature of athletic integrity. It became clear this was no longer just a spat between two stars. It was a violent collision of opposing philosophies on a global platform. In the aftermath, the saga outgrew the tournament, acting as a mirror reflecting two divergent approaches to glory. In one corner stood Coco Gauff, serene, assured, and impervious to the static. In the other corner, Aryna Sabalenka, combustible, visceral, and perpetually dancing on the brink of chaos. Their clash became philosophical, posing a timeless query. Does true greatness stem from unbridled fury, or from the mastery of oneself in the heat of battle? The conversation instantly shifted to a comparison of their paths, their dispositions, and even how they handled the microphone. Gauff's camp highlighted her incredible poise at only 20 years old, a prodigy who never required theatrics to steal the spotlight. On the flip side, Sabalenka's detractors argued that her fiery outbursts frequently eclipsed her wins, twisting moments of glory into debates on conduct. And let's be honest, this wasn't exactly a one-time occurrence. Longtime tennis watchers were quick to bring up Aryna's history of volatility, the smashed rackets, the screaming matches, the tearful press conferences. They set that chaos against Coco's steady rhythm of self-control and elegance, a demeanor that evoked memories of a prime Serena Williams. Pundits soon dubbed the showdown a battle of dignity versus disorder. Aryna was a hurricane on the court, wild, fierce, and wrecking everything in sight, while Coco stood firm as the calm center, unshaken and precise. That dynamic is exactly why we couldn't look away. One force tried to rattle the cage, while the other was too solid to budge. Yet, once the last ball was struck and the clay settled, the audience's verdict was undeniable. The roaring applause, the rhythmic chants, and the raw passion filling the stands weren't for the name on the scoreboard. That love flowed entirely toward the woman who embodied the spirit of a true victor. When the lens focused on Gauff exiting with her chin up, global viewers recognized who truly commanded respect, trophy or not. The moment the match point landed and Aryna raised her arms in glory, the stat sheet claimed one thing. However, the stadium's energy spun a different yarn. As the noise died down, every gaze locked on to Coco Gauff. She approached the net with silent nobility, clasped her opponent's hand firmly, and offered a curt nod before pivoting away. Zero resentment, zero theatrics, pure elegance that is the image burned into memory. Although Aryna's win was meant to redeem her previous Grand Slam stumble, it felt hollow. The vibe was simply wrong. Rather than basking in a gritty victory, she faced murmurs about her conduct, with headlines ignoring her play to dissect her psyche. Conversely, Coco departed the arena bathed in a thunderous standing ovation. Those fans weren't applauding a point count. They were saluting integrity. Footage of her cool demeanor went viral instantly, with the internet crowning her the evening's true champion. Pros from across the tour took to social media, lauding Coco for standing tall where many would crumble, and there lies the twist. Amidst a contest drowning in sound, Gauff's quiet resolve screamed the loudest. She taught us that legend status isn't about the volume of your celebration, but how you stand when others try to drag you low. The cup might not be in her hands, but she left with a prize Aryna missed entirely. She won the hearts of millions and a moral triumph that will resonate long past the WTA finals. So, who really conquered that night? Did the crown go to the one who took the set, or the one who defined sportsmanship for the world? Ultimately, this was bigger than tennis. It came down to principles. Gauff proved you can make your mark without ego or drama. Her skill, self-control, and tranquility in the heat of battle spoke volumes. That is precisely why supporters globally are declaring her the real victor of the tournament. What is your take? Do you view Sabalenka's behavior as just fire in the belly, or did she step over the line? Was Gauff's silence a mark of maturity, or should she have confronted Aryna directly? Sound off in the comments, because this feud is just heating up. If you admire Gauff's cool head and think she acted like a boss, drop a heart or Team Coco below. To keep your finger on the pulse as this saga keeps evolving from locker room gossip to predictions for the next showdown, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. Believe me, when their paths cross again, it won't be merely a game. It is going to be personal.